Hey everyone, welcome back to Life Turns. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by, because today's story will hit deep. It's about love, betrayal, and what happens when your own family draws a line between you and the people you care about most. So sit tight, because this one isn't just a story, it's a turning point in someone's life. It all started one quiet evening. I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, half awake, half lost in my thoughts, when I saw a notification from my parents. It was a simple message, but the words on that screen, they changed everything for me. You're banned from your sister's wedding, watch online. That was it. No explanation. No call. Just a text, cold, final, and cruel. I stared at it for a good minute, waiting for another message. Maybe a just kidding, or we'll talk later, but nothing came. It was silent. My hands started shaking. I could feel my chest tighten, like someone had punched me without warning. My sister's wedding, the day I'd been waiting for, helping plan, dreaming about, and now, I wasn't even allowed to be there. I called my mom first. No answer. Then my dad. Straight to voicemail. It felt like the whole world had turned its back on me overnight. I sat there in the dark, staring at the message again and again, hoping it would somehow change. But it didn't. It was still there, you're banned. You see, my sister and I were always close. Growing up, we shared everything, our clothes, our secrets, our dreams. She used to tell me that no matter what, we'd always have each other's backs. But in the last few months, things had been different. She got engaged to a man I didn't trust. Not because I was jealous or overprotective, but because I knew something she didn't. I had seen him with someone else. I tried telling her once that I saw her fiancé flirting with another woman at a restaurant. But she didn't believe me. She said I was overreacting, that I was trying to ruin her happiness. That hurt more than I can explain. From that day, things changed. My parents started acting distant too. My calls went unanswered more often. My opinions didn't matter anymore. And now, this message, this ban, it was the final cut. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head. Did I deserve this? Was I really the bad guy for trying to protect her? I opened my phone again and saw that my sister had blocked me on every platform. My heart sank. I never thought it would come to this, being completely erased from her life, like I never existed. But here's the thing, I wasn't ready to just give up. I couldn't sit back and watch her make a mistake that would destroy her. So I made a decision right there, at 2:47 a.m., sitting in my room with nothing but heartbreak and determination. If I couldn't attend the wedding, I'd still be there, one way or another. The next morning, I started planning. I called a friend who worked with the event decorators. I didn't tell them the whole story, just that I wanted to do something special for my sister, secretly. They hesitated at first, but when I told them my plan, they agreed to help. I found out where the wedding was being held. A big, fancy resort outside the city. They had live streaming set up for guests who couldn't attend. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same link I was told to watch online from. But I had another plan. I wasn't just going to watch. I was going to show something. All I needed was one thing, proof. Proof of what her fiancé had been hiding. And I already had it. I had screenshots, messages, even a short video clip from the day I caught him. I had saved it all, just in case. But I never wanted to use it like this. Still, if this was what it took to make her see the truth, then so be it. I spent the next day gathering everything. My stomach twisted with every step. I didn't want to embarrass her. I didn't want to ruin her big day. I just wanted to save her from a lifetime of pain. And deep down, I hoped maybe, just maybe, she'd understand one day. The wedding day arrived sooner than I was ready for. I woke up early, my heart pounding. The whole house was quiet, except for the sound of my phone buzzing with notifications, wedding photos, family updates, happy emojis. None of them included me. When I opened the live stream link, my heart stopped. There she was, of my sister, glowing, beautiful, standing in her white dress under a canopy of lights. I couldn't help but smile through the tears. She looked so happy, and I almost doubted myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I should just let it go. But then, I saw him, her groom. And all the doubt faded. That same fake smile, that same confident charm. I knew what was behind it. And I couldn't let it slide. I had already uploaded the proof to a private link, something only I could access. The only question was, should I send it now, or wait until it's too late? I stared at my screen, my finger hovering over the send button. My parents were sitting in the front row, proud and smiling. I felt a lump in my throat. I wasn't just risking my sister's wedding, I was risking my entire family. But if I didn't act now, she'd be trapped forever in a lie. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered to myself, "You're banned from the wedding, huh? Let's see how long that lasts." The moment I hit send, my heart started racing like I'd just jumped off a cliff. I didn't know what was going to happen next, all I knew was that it was too late to take it back. I had sent the proof, the photos, the screenshots, the video, everything. It was all there, in one email addressed to my sister, her fiancé, and my parents. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The live stream continued as if nothing had changed. The music played, the guests clapped, and the camera moved closer to the couple standing under the lights. I felt my palms sweating. Maybe they hadn't seen it yet. Maybe the Wi-Fi was slow. Maybe I had made a huge mistake. And then, suddenly, I saw it, the groom's expression changed. He looked down at his phone, froze for a moment, and then turned pale. My sister, still smiling, didn't notice at first. But my parents did. I could see the confusion on their faces, the whispering, the shifting glances. The room that had been filled with joy now had a crack in it, small, but spreading fast. Within minutes, chaos started to unfold. The officiant's voice faltered mid-sentence. The groom whispered something to my sister, but she pulled back, confused. She looked at her phone, and I could see her hand trembling even through the shaky live stream. I knew the exact moment she saw the message. Her smile disappeared. Her lips parted as if to say something, but no sound came out. I could feel tears in my eyes. I didn't want to see her hurt like this, not in front of everyone. But there was no turning back now. She looked around, searching for answers, for someone to blame. I knew she'd think of me first. She always did. My phone started ringing, first my mom, then my dad. I couldn't answer. I couldn't even move. I sat there, frozen, watching my family fall apart through a screen. This wasn't how I imagined it would go. I thought maybe they'd pause the ceremony, talk privately, maybe call off the wedding quietly. But no. Everything was happening in front of hundreds of guests. My sister dropped her bouquet. The groom tried to reach for her, but she stepped back. "Is it true?" I could hear her voice faintly through the speakers. "Is this true?" The groom didn't answer. He just stood there, eyes darting everywhere but at her. That silence, that one moment, said everything. The camera panned away as people started murmuring. Someone must have cut the stream because the screen suddenly went black. I was left staring at my reflection on the phone screen, tears running down my cheeks. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or destroyed. Had done the right thing, hadn't I? But it didn't feel right. It felt heavy, like the air itself was pressing down on me. An hour passed before I got another call. This time, it was my sister. I hesitated but finally answered. Her voice was shaking. "Why did you do this?" she asked. I tried to speak, but my throat felt dry. "Because I love you," I whispered. Because he wasn't who you thought he was. There was silence on the line. I could hear her crying softly. You could have told me again, you didn't have to humiliate me like that. My heart broke all over again. She was right, I could have handled it differently. But I also knew she wouldn't have believed me. Not until she saw it with her own eyes. I tried, I said, my voice cracking. You didn't listen. I didn't want you to get hurt later. She didn't reply. Just a long silence. And then, she said something I'll never forget. You didn't just save me, you destroyed me too. And then she hung up. I sat there, staring at the wall, her words echoing in my head. She was right. I had saved her from marrying a liar, but I had also taken away her dream, the one day she'd waited her whole life for. Later that night, my parents came home. I didn't know what to expect, anger, maybe even hate. But when they walked in, they didn't yell. They just looked tired, broken. My mom's eyes were red, my dad's shoulders slumped. We didn't believe you, my dad said quietly. We should have. That one sentence was enough to make me cry again. For months, I'd been the villain in my family's story. And now, in one painful day, the truth had finally surfaced. But the cost, it was more than I could bear. My mom sat beside me. You did what you thought was right, she said softly. But next time, think about how you do it. I nodded, but I couldn't say anything. My chest hurt from holding back everything I felt, guilt, anger, sadness, relief, all tangled together. The next few days were a blur. The wedding was officially called off. My sister stopped answering my messages. My parents tried to hold things together, but there was an emptiness in the house that words couldn't fill. Everyone was grieving, not for the man she lost, but for the peace we once had. I stayed away for a while. I thought maybe time would heal it. I focused on work, avoided social media, and tried to convince myself that I'd done the right thing. But every night, when I lay in bed, her words came back, you didn't just save me, you destroyed me too. One evening, about a month later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, my sister was standing there. She looked different, tired, but softer somehow. For a moment, we just stood there, silent. Then she stepped forward and hugged me. No words, no anger, just tears. That hug broke whatever wall was left between us. She finally spoke. You were right, she said. He tried to contact me after everything, and I saw who he really was. I felt my heart lift, but I stayed quiet. She continued, I just wish you had trusted me enough to let me find out on my own. That sentence stayed with me. Because maybe that's what love sometimes forgets, that saving someone doesn't always mean protecting them. Sometimes it means letting them fall, so they can stand up stronger. We sat together for hours that night, talking about everything, our childhood, our fights, our mistakes. And for the first time in a long time, I saw my sister smile again. Not the forced one from before, but a real one. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it was a start. Families don't break in one day, and they don't heal in one either. But that night, sitting beside her, I knew one thing for sure. That night changed everything between me and my sister. For the first time, we weren't just siblings, we were two broken people trying to understand each other again. It wasn't easy, but it was real. And sometimes, that's all you need to rebuild what life tore apart. Over the next few weeks, she started coming over more often. Sometimes we didn't even talk about what happened. We just sat quietly, shared food, or watched old family videos. I could tell she was still healing, not just from her ex, but from the feeling of betrayal. I had hurt her deeply, even if my intentions were right. And I knew that earning her trust back would take time. One evening, while we were having dinner, she said something that stayed with me. You know, she whispered, when I first saw those photos, I hated you more than him. I looked up, surprised, but she smiled faintly. But later, I realized. I only hated you because you showed me something I didn't want to see. That moment, that single confession, hit harder than anything. Because sometimes the truth isn't the enemy. It's the mirror we're too afraid to look into. And I realized she wasn't angry at me anymore. She was angry at how much she'd trusted the wrong person. As days turned into weeks, life slowly returned to a fragile normal. My parents stopped walking on eggshells around me. My sister began laughing again, bit by bit. We started going on long drives like we used to when we were younger. And for the first time in months, our house didn't feel like a battlefield. It felt like a home again. But even then, I couldn't shake the guilt completely. One night, I sat outside under the stars and thought about everything. The choices I made. The pain I caused. The people I hurt. And I realized something that changed my heart forever. Doing the right thing doesn't always mean doing it the right way. I was so focused on saving my sister that I forgot she had her own strength, her own way of learning. Maybe if I had just trusted her a little more, she could have come to the truth on her own. But that's what love does sometimes. It makes us desperate, reckless, afraid to lose the people we care about. A few months later, I got a message from her. It was a photo of her traveling with friends, smiling again. The caption said, "Healing isn't forgetting, it's learning to breathe again." I smiled when I saw it. That was the sister I knew, strong, brave, and full of life. We talked often after that. Slowly, our bond grew stronger than ever before. There was honesty now, painful, but pure. No more secrets. No more pretending. Just truth, even when it hurt. One day, she told me something I never expected. "You know, I told Mom and Dad to uninvite you from the wedding." My heart sank. I had suspected it, but hearing it out loud still hurt. She continued, "I was angry. I thought you wanted to ruin my happiness. I told them not to tell you why, just to keep you away." I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened. But before I could speak, she grabbed my hand and said, "And that's the biggest regret of my life. Because when I needed someone the most, you were the only one who stood up for me, even when I pushed you away." Tears filled my eyes. All this time, I had blamed my parents, felt betrayed by them, but it was my sister's decision all along. And instead of anger, I felt something else, peace. Because in that moment, I realized that forgiveness wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about understanding that everyone was hurting in their own way. That night, she told me she wanted to start over, not just with her life, but with us. "Let's make new memories," she said. And that's exactly what we did. We took a trip together, just the two of us, like when we were kids. We laughed until our stomachs hurt, shared secrets we had buried for years, and for once, we didn't talk about the past. We just lived in the present. It was on that trip that she told me something beautiful. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think love was about fairy tales and happy endings. But now I know it's about the people who stand beside you when everything falls apart." Those words became my favorite memory. Because she was right. Love isn't perfect, it's messy, painful, and full of mistakes. But the people who stay, who fight for you even when it costs them everything, that's real love. A year later, my sister got engaged again, to someone new. This time, she didn't hide anything. She introduced him to us early, asked for opinions, and wanted us to be part of her journey. Watching her walk down the aisle again, this time with confidence and joy, made me realize how far we'd all come. As she stood there, saying her vows, she looked at me in the crowd and smiled. That smile said everything. "Thank you, I forgive you, I love you." And that was all I needed. When the ceremony ended, she came over, hugged me tightly, and whispered, "You were banned from my wedding once, but today, I can't imagine it without you." I laughed through tears, holding her close. "Guess some bans don't last forever," I said, and she laughed too. That moment wasn't just about a wedding. It was about redemption, about learning that sometimes, even the deepest scars can heal if love is strong enough. Looking back now, I realized that message, you're banned from your sister's wedding, watch online, wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of something bigger. A painful beginning, yes, but one that led us here, to forgiveness, understanding, and love stronger than before. So if you're watching this right now, and you're going through something similar, maybe you're hurt by your family, or feel misunderstood, I want you to remember something. Sometimes distance is part of healing. Sometimes being pushed away gives you the chance to prove that your love is real. Life has a strange way of testing us. It breaks us, bends us, and sometimes bans us from the things we love most. But if your heart is in the right place, one day, the same door that closed on you will open again. Because that's what life does, it turns. And when it does, you'll see that every heartbreak, every silence, every tear, was leading you to the moment where everything finally makes sense. So, no matter how lost you feel right now, hold on. Your turn will come too. Thank you for listening. This was my story, a painful one, but real. And if it touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Life Turns. Because here, every story reminds us that sometimes, life's biggest heartbreaks become its greatest lessons.